Today, in this video, let's deal with the class of antibiotics named as tetracyclines. Let's see the introduction part of the tetracyclines. Coming to the introduction part, these are the class of the antibiotics basically having the four cyclic rings, and generally these are being obtained from the soil actinomycetes and was generally introduced as chlortetracycline, but it was introduced under the name of aureomycin. Later, after the introduction of this aureomycin, oxytetracycline was introduced. It is a broad spectrum antibiotic almost covering all the bacterial organisms, but it does not cover the virus and fungi. Recently, the new subclass named as tigecycline or belonging to a class glycycycline was introduced. Coming to the characteristics and the classifications of the tetracyclines, let's see what are the basic characteristics that the tetracyclines have. They are generally the bitter solids and slightly soluble in the water. When these are being mixed with the water, it forms an aqueous solution which are highly unstable. Whereas the hydrochlorides are more stable, but even though the aqueous solutions are unstable, but the antimicrobial activity of both the hydrochlorides as well as the aqueous solutions are equal. Later, due to the subsequent development members, they have the greater stability and greater potency and greater repeat solubility. Having a greater stability can show the greater action, and higher lipid solubility, greater amount of the drug will be reaching and the high amount of the action will be shown. Coming to the classification, there is a small mnemonic named as .dm. Remember it as .do message. Coming to the classification, see, D stands for democlocycline and O stands for oxytetracycline, T stands for tetracycline, D stands for doxycycline and M stands for minocycline. And others recent subclass was introduced belonging, the subclass name is glycylcycline and the drug in that subclass is tigecycline. Now coming to the mechanism of action. Basically, this class of antibiotics are known as RNA or DNA synthesis inhibitors. They are primarily bacteriostatic, and basically these tetracyclines blocks the protein synthesis process. Let's see how this protein synthesis is being blocked. It binds to 30S ribosome. If it is bind to the 30S ribosome, then there will be no formation of the complex between mRNA and 30S part of the ribosome. Then the protein synthesis process will be stopped. And other part where it is been blocking is subsequently interferes with the binding of the aminoacyl tRNA to the acceptor site A. So basically this acceptor site A, which is present in the 50S part of the ribosome, the amino acid complementary with the T-aminosyl RNA comes and binds to this acceptor site, and the protein synthesis is been forwarded. If this process is been blocked, the entire protein synthesis chain is failed. In this way, these tetracyclines block the action of this bacteria. Basically, coming to the antimicrobial spectrum, we say that they are the wide spectrum antibiotic because they almost cover all the cocci bacteria, most gram-positive bacilli. In the gram-positive bacilli, only mycobacteria like leprae do not show any action if you consume tetracycline. And coming to the gram-negative bacilli, only the H. influenzae have become insensitive to it, and Enterobacteriaceae had showed a very large resistance to this tetracyclines. Whereas the spirochetes, Trypanosoma, Palladium and Borrelia are quite sensitive, and Rickettsia family and Chlamydia family are highly sensitive, whereas Mycoplasma and Actinomycetes are moderately sensitive. Now let's deal with the resistance part of it. Let's see what are the factors that are basically responsible to cause the resistance. Before seeing the resistance part, let's see how these tetracyclines are getting accumulated in the microbe structure. See, basically if the tetracyclines get accumulated in the microbes or the bacteria, then the action of the tetracyclines will be shown, and the bacteriostatic property of the tetracyclines is being represented. So let's see in different kinds of organisms. You see, coming into sensitive organisms, they enter into the body by active transport, energy dependent active transport. Tetracyclines concentrates intracellularly. And coming to the gram-negative organism, generally they diffuses through the porine channels and toxicity occurs. And in the highly lipid-soluble members of the tetracycline like doxycycline and minocycline enter by the passive diffusion process. So thereby these tetracyclines cause accumulation in the microbes, they cause toxicity, and later the death of the microbe takes place. Now coming to the antibiotic resistance. Let's see how this antibiotic resistance is being taken place. Generally, the antibiotic resistance is developed in a very slow grade manner by three mechanisms. Coming to the first mechanism, generally this tetracycline concentrated mechanism becomes less efficient. In the previous slide which I explained you is how does a tetracycline comes and accumulate in it. So this accumulation process, the mechanism by which the accumulation takes place gets less efficient, and bacteria will gain the capability to pump out the tetracyclines that are being accumulated in the body of the microbe. And next is plasma mediated synthesis, a special protein known as a protection protein. It binds to the RNA binding site. So this, even though if tetracycline comes and binds to the ribosome, it won't show any action. Why? Because already the protection enzyme has been binded to it. And coming to the another mechanism named as tetracycline inactivating enzyme is an unimportant mechanism. So many studies and researches have been are still going on in this mechanism. So it basically says that tetracycline, when accumulated in the microbe, this inactivating enzyme comes and inactivates the tetracycline. Thereby the action of the tetracyclines get inactivated, and later it does not show any kind of effect. Basically coming into the pharmacokinetics, the first generation, not basically the first generation, the first introduced tetracyclines showed a major effects in the GI absorption. So it is been completely not absorbed by the GI tract. So the absorption is better if it is taken in the empty stomach. And doxycycline and minocycline are absorbed irrespective of the food, even though if you take food or no, but doxycycline and minocycline showed a good absorption process. Whereas a chelating form, it has a very great chelating property where it forms the insoluble complexes with the calcium and other metals, whereas the absorption rate is reduced when you take milk and iron preparations or non-synthetic foods. And if you take this tetracycline, the absorption rate gets reduced, and intracellularly this tetracycline binds to the mitochondria, and the minocyclines gets accumulated in the fat and can show organ toxicity, and it is excreted as a glomerular filtration. And generally these tetracyclines get accumulated in the milk in sufficient amounts, and it can affect the suckling infant. Now let's see about the adverse effects. Are you people amazed by the Kapil Dev photo has been appeared in this slide? Yes. Why? Because we can remember this great person named as Kapil Dev, which is a great mnemonic for the adverse effects of the tetracyclines. Let's see how does this mnemonic work. See, K stands for the kidney toxicity, A stands for the anti-anabolic effects, phototoxicity, and I stands for insipidus, the diabetes insipidus, and L stands for the liver toxicity, D stands for dentition and bone problems, and E stands for the expired tetracyclines can cause Fanconi syndrome, and V stands for the vestibular toxicity, and even though it shows the hypersensitivity reaction and irritative reactions can cause a bitter gastric pain and a pain, nausea, vomiting and diarrhea on oral ingestion. So liver damage. So basically through oxatetracycline and tetracyclines are safer when in the case of the liver toxicity stage. Generally these tetracyclines are very risky in the case of the pregnant woman. So kidney damage. See, basically tetracyclines are avoided, or it is given in the low dose in presence of the kidney disease. All the tetracyclines except doxycyclines shows the reduced effect or enhances the kidney failure. This is caused by the degradation products where it It produces a epitetracycline and anhydrotetracycline. And a phototoxicity is one of the adverse effects, whereas coming into the teeth and bone, the height may be stopped in the case of the growing children, and whereas the crown part, the anterior crown part of the teeth will be damaged and the shape will be disintegrated. And coming to the anti-anabolic properties, it shows increase in the blood urea process. And whereas the vestibular toxicity, especially the minocycline, can show the nystagmus and ataxia vertigo, which subsides when the drug is being discontinued. So, some of the precautions are to be taken while the tetracyclines are consumed. They should not be used during the pregnancy, lactation, and in children. They should be avoided in the case of diuretics. Blood urea may rise in such patients, and they should be very carefully used in the case of renal and hepatic insufficiency. Preparations should be never beyond the expiry date. If the expired tetracyclines are taken, Fanconi syndrome is being seen. Do not inject the tetracyclines intrathecally. Now let's see the brief view about the uses. It is used as a empirical therapy. Why it is known as the empirical therapy? Because it is a wide spectrum of the antibiotic which shows effective against most kind of bacteria. I'm not saying fungi and viruses are not included. And let's see where it is being used as a first choice of drugs. It is used as first choice of drugs in the case of vernal diseases. What are vernal diseases? Like chlamydial nonspecific urethritis or endocervicitis, or lymphogranuloma vernum and granuloma inguinale. These are some of the vernal diseases where tetracyclines are used as first choice of drug. And in the case of atypical pneumonia, which is caused with the mycoplasmal pneumoniae, generally with this tetracyclines, if taken for 2 weeks, it is been cured. Whereas in cholera, tetracyclines had an adjuvant value by reducing the stool volume. And in the brucellosis, it is very highly efficacious. It causes a rapid symptomatic relief. And in the case of plague, tetracyclines are both effective in bubonic plague and pneumonic plague. They are preferred as a blind mass treatment for this disease. And in the case of rickettsia infections, typhus, Rocky Mountain, spotted fever, Q fever, etc. responds very dramatically, but chloramphenicol is also alternative if tetracyclines doesn't work. Coming to the second choice of the drug, it showed effect in the leptospirosis, cancroid, tularemia, and syphilis. Whereas it is also being treated for the other infections like urinary tract infections in a very odd cases. Community acquired pneumonia, when selective antibiotic cannot be used. That's why it is being included under empirical therapy. Amoebiasis, and it is also used for falciparum malaria as an adjuvant to the quinine or artesunate. Whereas it is also used in acne vulgaris. Prolonged treatment with the low doses may be used in severe cases of acne, but simpler treatments are also preferred in most of the cases. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, please do like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you so much.